Hello, this is a I don't know what I'm talking about podcast on the I don't know channel, and today's gonna be a Minnesota versus San Antonio game 5 reaction. Um, so the four topics I'm gonna talk about are I've focused more on Minnesota this game. I really was watching them more. So I'm gonna talk about Minnesota, and then Victor Wembanyama, the Spurs guards, and Keldon Johnson. Um, so, like I said, I focus more on Minnesota, and I explained it in my podcast yesterday. But I mean, not a ton of people watch, but actually a few did, and I appreciate it. So if they did hear this, I haven't been watching a lot of NBA teams, so when I get introduced to a team, I usually watch them and just them and not focus on the other team as much. So I was really focusing on Minnesota. I know they lost, but that's who I was really looking at. And there's a lot you could talk about Minnesota this game. I think they're a really good defensive team. I think they play at like a physical elite level. Sometimes, but sometimes they lack off and they don't have the ball pressure that they do all the time. I think you got some players like Terrence Shannon Jr. and but really he's the main one that is just always on the aggressive on defense. But yeah, I think Io DeSumo and Anthony Edwards, they play great defense a lot of the time. They're great defenders, but there are some times where they slack and let the ball handler have a lot more um, just comfort than they should. Julius Randle's probably their worst defender that I've seen. But he's gotten a lot better from last year, I feel like. But he's just there's a lot of carelessness to his defense. But he still put decent ball pressure this game, especially for him. And like I haven't seen the Timberwolves really play a full game since last year, and he's gotten a lot better since last year. So their defense is ultimately a great defense. And I think, like I said, I've been watching a lot of college this year more, and I think the thing about college more is when you got some of these teams like UConn and St. John's. Um, Trying to think of another team that plays Houston. That plays really elite physical defense. Yeah, I thought maybe New Mexico's. You could look at theirs. Play that kind of defense. Memphis this past year, even though neither of those teams made the tournament. When you got an elite defensive team in college, this is what it seems like so far watching this year. They're just more consistent. They're just less lackadaisical moments than the NBA. But the individual defenders in the NBA, like when they do pressure, they're better. Their high points are way better than the college players. Obviously, every NBA team will kill a college team, but so as far as like the individual defenders' capabilities, they're way past college, which is obvious. But yeah, so I thought their defense was really good. It could be just a little more consistent. Their offense, I think they could get more movement, ball movement, body movement. And I think their offense is like the Spurs, Timberwolves last night, the Cleveland, and the Pistons. A lot of NBA teams will have a little bit of action, like one screen, off ball screen at the top of the key, or just a double screen for the guy in the corner. And then it's straight, that takes like 7 seconds, 6 seconds, 5 seconds, or whatever. And then the rest of the time on the clock is one-on-one. And I just think when you go to college, when you look at UConn or St. John's, or, I thought Siena had a really great offense, really elite offense this past year. Clemson's, they're moving the whole 24. And of course, you do have little dead periods where someone's trying to attack the baskets, because you do have to draw out your moves and stuff like that. It just can't be ba 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 like with crossovers. It takes a little bit of time to draw out, so you can actually make the defender think you're going that way, or a little bit of time in the post. There's sometimes it takes to develop moves, but it's still, there's systems that are set up, there's motions that are set up for the whole 24, I guess in college, 30 seconds. And I think, NBA teams could take from that. Obviously, the NBA is the best league, but, with some of the Euro League I've watched, when I've watched draft stuff, and some of the college I've watched, it just seems like, to me, and I know NBA players don't like it because, they give the ball down to the post a lot of the time, and they think they don't have the game to be playing in the post. I've heard LeBron say that, and I remember LeBron and JJ Redick on their podcast, they were also saying that you have a lot of guys on the outside drive right to post offensive players, and that's just, to some extent, that's true with both of those, I feel like. But I just feel like overall, both those leagues, they play. It's just the body motion and the ball movement. I just think that's how you play basketball. It opens up more space. If you just got one guy going at somebody, and everybody else is like standing around, it just doesn't take as much to guard them as if everybody's moving, and then you get the defense getting way behind when they're scrambling. It makes them have to scramble more, scramble further to get out to people. Like, if you had someone running baseline to baseline, and they get the ball, and their defender was already behind. Well, he gets the ball, defender's flying out to him, closing out hard. Well, the guy that's running baseline to baseline that just got the ball drives, and he gets his defender to come over, and he kicks it out. And while you got that going on, you got a flare on the other side, and that's opening up space there. And then you got defenders scrambling over there, and then you might have a back screen somewhere. The more places, and obviously you don't want to get in each other's way, you got to worry about that, but the more motion you got, the more stuff you got going on, it creates space, and it could just create space everywhere, and the defense is thinking about 2 or 3 different things, and they just can't. But if you just got one guy at the top of the key guarding, you could kind of, you can either stick on your man if you're the gap defender and just, not let him pass and let him take a difficult one-on-one shot, or you could come in and help hard and kind of close the passing lane with your hands, and then, the other, there will be another defender that can kind of help the helper and kind of play his own man, stay in the middle. and it kind of just stagnates the offense because you got this guy with the ball who has two on him, and he's trying to make a pass out of it, but he's really going too slow for, like, even if he gets the pass there, they pretty much got it covered. It's not going to take that much time. So, I don't know. I just think the NBA could, and I've heard NBA players say that the James Harden way, they don't think that's going to work anymore. They think you need more motion, more movement. But I think they can do even more. It's like they get a little motion, a little movement, and then it's one-on-one for more than half the clock. So, I don't know. But, yeah, I think the Timberwolves could use more motion. I think their offense is fine, but their offensive system could be elite with more motion, more screening, more ball movement. So, but that's with a lot of teams. So, another thing about that the Timberwolves are doing, they're having three big lineups with Naz Reid, Julius Randle, and Rudy Gobert. And I just don't think that works. I hate a lot of the time. I wouldn't say I hate it, but to me it usually doesn't work when you have a power forward at your small forward. And to me, Julius Randle is a power forward. He can dribble some, but he works better going at fours than threes, and he works better being a floor spacer as a four than a three. I don't think he shoots the ball, quite well enough. Well, I mean, I might take that back. He shoots the ball pretty well, but just his ball handling, he just has more of the ball handling of a four. It's more upright. He's not as flexible as a lot of guards, and he gets downhill, but to me, he's better at attacking fours. The way he dribbles, he's just better as a four. He's not a three. And same with Naz Reid. I don't think Naz Reid is a three. And obviously they can handle the ball, they can shoot, they can play. But there's just a difference. I don't know. You want your three to get a certain level of blow by on their defender. And I think a lot of guards can handle Julius Randle's and Naz Reid's dribbles a lot better, and it hurts their offense, to me, because it kills the penetration, because the guards are beating them to spots better. Not that they're not getting any shots. They're still getting shots, they're still getting penetration, they're still helping out the offense, but I don't like those lineups. Anthony Edwards and he's getting double teamed a lot. I remember this was a big thing, I want to say 2 years ago, but it could have been last year. But he was getting double teamed. Or it could have been this year, but I think it was last year. He was getting double teamed a lot, because I think it was after their first Western Conference Finals run, and he wasn't, given the same amount of production with the double teams, and he didn't tonight, honestly. He didn't really play bad. I mean, they're just double teaming him, and he's having a tough time getting off shots. He only took 13 shots, which is tied for third on the team, and they really only played 8 players. He took the same amount of shots as Jaden McDaniels, one less shot than Ayo Dosunmu, and he took 4 less shots than Julius Randle. He had 7 free throws, which was tied for the lead with Julius Randle, but I don't know. I think it was Reggie Miller during the game. He said, and I've heard other people say this before too, I think maybe Shaq, when he gives it up from the double team, he's got to move without the ball right away and go get the ball back. He can't stand there. And he did a little bit of that. I think Chris Finch had some plays set up for him off the ball, and it got him some more space and penetration got him going downhill. So that was good, but they got to find a way to get him more involved. So, um, talk about Rudy Gobert next. Um, he did not have a good game. It says he only had one turnover, and that's true. But there were a lot of times where he didn't catch the ball. I mean, and if someone passes you the ball as a big and you don't catch it, it's a turnover for the guard or whoever passed you the ball. So he just wasn't catching the ball. He wasn't going up that strong, and he's their best rim protector, which is like I think Reggie Miller said at the end of the game, which I might already said this, but that they should take Rudy Gobert out and just go small with Naz Reid at center. And I don't know. I mean, I think Rudy Gobert definitely should play, and because he's their best rim protector, and those guards attack the rim more when Naz Reid is in there. And Naz Reid's a better player than Rudy Gobert to me. It's not even really close. But he got 23 minutes tonight. I don't know if you can give him much less minutes than that, Rudy Gobert, because of his rim protection. Even if he's not strong with the ball, even if he's, a little loose with the ball, and he's not really giving an offensive impact on the inside, and even if he's not looking like the greatest rim protector out there, when you got Wemby on the other side, it just helps. I mean, those Spurs guards, I'm going to talk about this later, they're great, and they attack the rim. They really attack the rim. And when Rudy's out, they attack it even more. So I don't know how many less minutes you can really give him. And I'm not even sure he should be getting less minutes than Naz Reid. He probably should, but I don't know. He really didn't have a good game. He didn't do good with the ball in his hands, honestly. He did fine. He only had 5 rebounds, but I thought he was fine physically, like his physicality or whatever. So I don't know. They have a lot of decisions to make with who they're gonna play. I thought Dosunmu played really well. He attacked the basket, shot 50% from the field. He had 9 rebounds. He was very active. He was attacking the paint well. They said during the game that he got a few dunk attempts off against Wemby. I know he made one of them. I wouldn't really say he dunked on him, but Wemby was trying to block it from behind. So he attacked the basket, got buckets, got layups, and it was aggressive, but not too aggressive. I mean, they really tried to get Ant the ball, and they were. I mean, not totally succeeding. Ant had 20 points, but I mean that's not great for Ant. But I think he played well. Joanne, just wanted to shout out Joanne Behringer. He only played 3 minutes, but I just thought he was a really great prospect. But he has a lot of work to go. He's not, the most coordinated big at this point. Not that he's terrible, but just compared to like the bigs that were out there tonight, Cornet and Gobert, Naz Reid, Julius Randle, Victor Wembanyama. I know that's a tall task, but he got and made a turnover, but I felt like he was still active. Had 3 rebounds in 3 minutes, so maybe he can be a good prospect in the future. I was super high on him in the draft. Naz Reid's an amazing and underrated player. The stuff he could do off the dribble, and his physicality down low. I think he's better than Julius Randle. To me, I always thought he should start over Julius Randle. He could shoot better. He could dribble better. He's a better, more consistent defender. When Karl Anthony Towns got traded to Minnesota, I was like, is it for sure that Julius Randle's going to start over Nas Reed? But they've really made Julius Randle like the number 2 guy there since he's gotten there. So I don't know. I just always thought Nas Reed was the better player, and I thought he played well tonight. Only shot 40% from the field, but just his decision making and stuff. He was, his physicality and stuff. He got a technical against Wemby, and he almost got a technical for delay of game. So he was a little. I don't know if he was mad at Wemby for that elbow, or if they're just really trying to rough Wemby up, or whatever. But he might need to chill out a little bit because 2 techs and you're out. So, but I don't know. He had a good game. I thought Mike Conley had a good game. He's the old vet. He probably helps his team out a lot in the locker room. I know they traded him at mid-season, and somehow he was able. I guess he got released by maybe the Hornets or the Bulls or something like that. Or maybe he went to both. I don't know. And anyways, he got released and went back to the Timberwolves, which, obviously to a lot of people that's an obvious choice, but it's probably hard to suck up your pride and do that to a team that just traded you. But he played well. I think he got a lot of good penetration, and he was great for how old he is, 38, 37, or whatever. He's 38. We talk about LeBron's longevity. We really don't talk about Mike Conley's that much, and his longevity is amazing. And that's why I think, honestly, I know people say we won't see LeBron's longevity again. I honestly think we kind of will, because I think it's more, now that LeBron didn't put in a ton of work into his body and all that, but people, just the science, people just know how to stay in game shape longer throughout their career, be able to play basketball at this level throughout their career longer. So I think we will see more LeBron Jameses and Mike Conleys, and I know Garrett Temple's not playing, but just the fact that he's in the league for how long he is, and I think longevity is, I think it'll become more and more common. But that's not really something to talk about right now. But I guess also to throw in there, I think someone's going to break Steph Curry's 3-point record to whatever he ends it at, but just because they're taking more threes now. I know people act like those 2 things are never going to be LeBron's longevity and Steph's 3-point record, but to me, both of them are going to be broken. But anyways, and then I want to talk about 2 guys that didn't get any playing time, Jalen Clark and Bones Highland. They're only playing 8 players. I know your rotation shrinks in the playoffs, and I'm not saying this is right or wrong, because maybe they should be playing 8 players, but they're part of the Minnesota Timberwolves. They're not as talented as Spurs, so a lot of it is like their defensive pressure and their physicality and their energy. And if you play 1 or 2 more guys, especially just one guy, Jalen Clark or Bones Highland, who can both really play. Bones Highland's a great one-on-one player and can get by his man and kick out, and he has great touch. And Jalen Clark, can play the guard. He can play the power forward. He's really physical for his small size, and he can shoot the ball, handle it. Having more players out there and keeping up your defensive intensity and physicality might help you, since you're not winning based off of talent, really. overall. The fact that you're shortening your rotation down to 8 minutes or to 8 players to get your most talented players out there. You might want to play a little more players and just keep the defensive intensity and physicality up, because that's the main way you could win. So, and I'm not even saying that's right. I'm just saying it's something to think about. Terrence Shannon Jr. had a rough night. He was getting to the basket. He was getting penetration. You can tell he's a good player. It's just when he got there, he wasn't finishing. He wasn't hitting his shots. He had a lot of fouls. So it was kind of a rough night for Terrence Shannon Jr. But I think he's improved a lot since he got into the league, which I think was last year. He had one big playoff game last year, but just seeing the way he drew, I think he handles the ball better. I think it's almost like his stride is better, which maybe that's just his stride with handling the ball. It looks like he's gotten more athletic, and he looks like he's improving. And Jaden McDaniels, he had 5 fouls. He had 17 points and 6 rebounds. He didn't play bad, but I don't know if the stat line, I don't know if he played as good as the stat line indicates. Those fouls kind of really hurt. So I don't know. But, I mean, we're looking at a lot of things when you're looking at the game. So he's obviously a good player. And he shot 3 for 7 from 3. And I think someone said he was like 16%. I don't know if it was before this game or game 3 or game 4. So the 3 for 7 is definitely better than 16%. So maybe his shooting touch is getting better. That's about it for Minnesota. I'm just gonna go over the Spurs probably briefly, since I wasn't really paying attention to them as much. Victor Wembanyama, I think people were wondering how he was going to respond. Was he going to, or at least me, is he going to be a little hesitant since, he just got that elbow or the flagrant 2 and got ejected, and people were talking about him getting suspended, and sometimes, at least me, it could just make you a little hesitant about, playing. I didn't play at a high level at all, but you just feel like you should back off a little bit. But he came out firing. He started off hot, hitting threes and dunking and being real aggressive. And he didn't let anything affect him. 27 points, 17 rebounds, 5 assists, 4 turnovers. It's really not a big deal. 3 blocks. And his thing, and I forgot to mention this when I was talking about the Timberwolves, because this is also what the Timberwolves are struggling with. And it's obvious. He's 7'5". He's athletic. And the kind of shots that they're having to take, their floaters are so high, their layups are so high, and when you're having to lay the ball up, way above the shot clock sometimes, that makes it obviously harder than a normal layup. And I just feel like they're having to shoot the ball way higher than normal when Victor Wembanyama's on the court. And they don't play him a ton of minutes. They played him 33. They don't play anybody a ton of minutes. De'Aaron Fox played the most at 34. And, when Luke Cornett's in there, it's different, which everybody says. So that might be his biggest attribute. Biggest thing he does is protect the rim. And he's I don't know if he's the perimeter defender that people are making him out to be. He gives people more space. He's not like a elite ball pressure defender, but when you are that size, to some extent, you don't have to be as close, but for his size, he guards well. He guards well. He's a good defender on the outside, and if they bring it down there, it's it's just hard to get an angle to shoot. So even Rudy Gobert, I think probably part of the problems that Rudy Gobert is having is he can't score on Victor Wembanyama. Because Victor's just too big or too tall, and so Victor's obviously changes the series. You got the Spurs guards I wanted to talk about next. Fox, Vassell, Castle, Harper, and Johnson are just amazing. I didn't realize they were all as good as they are until I started watching them a little this year. Fox is incredible. He's so fast, and he gets his crossovers and left to right. He holds the ball out far. I feel like a lot of times when you have a longer crossover, that's better because, it just it gives the opportunity for your opponent. Like if you made a long crossover and you shift them, they're going to shift further than someone with a shorter crossover. So, he really gets his defender to move, and he's strong, he's built, and he attacks. When he gets them to move, he attacks the open space that he's made, and he gets to the basket, he finishes well. He hits his free throws, was 5 for 5 from the free throw line. He may not be a great three-point shooter, but he can hit the mid-range, he can hit the free throws, and he's incredible. Vassell was shooting the ball. He shot 7 threes and made 2 of them. He can handle the ball a little, but not as much as the other guards. He's a good defender. They defended great tonight. He's a good defender, good guard. Stephon Castle gets to the baskets. He's strong when he gets down there. Had one really great finish, 2-hand dunk tonight. Shot 8 of 11 from the field. But his crossovers work, and he's athletic and strong, and he can get to the basket. And Dylan Harper really played good tonight. Dylan Harper had 10 rebounds. These Castle and Fox and Johnson, these are strong guards. Like Keldon Johnson might have been the strongest guy on the floor tonight, and I wanted to do a whole segment about him. And Dylan Harper is just he dribbles more upright than you would think for someone that's a guard and someone that's that good, but it works. I think I don't know how tall he is, but he's 6'5", and he plays like a big guard. I don't know. I just think of him being smaller, but he plays the way he dribbles. He stays upright, but he uses his body well, and he gets to the basket, and he finishes strong, and he attacks the glass, and he's a really good player. Julian Champagnie played well too. He's more just a shooter. 2 for 8 from 3, 3 for 9 for the field. So he was taking a lot of threes, and but he'll move without the ball, and he's not gonna do anything to hurt the team. He's not gonna try to dribble and go at somebody. He's giving the ball up. So he's a good player, solid player. I honestly don't know if he really deserves the minutes he gets in a way. Over Keldon Johnson, over Dylan Harper, but he's still a good player. And also, that's a very small lineup that they run, but they're a good team. I want to talk about Keldon Johnson. Keldon Johnson, I didn't realize how strong he was. He would just get in there and put his, basically 2-foot jump stop and just shoulder anybody that was down there, no matter how big they were. I don't know how much he weighs or how tall he is. He's 6'5", 220, but he looks more than that. Um, and he's just a bully ball player. They said he wasn't playing good. Well, he played amazing tonight. He can even shoot. He hit a three, was 4 for 5 from the free throw line, and he's just going in there to put his chest or his shoulder into you, or it's more his shoulder. And honestly, no one could really stand it. Um, saw Ant kind of died when he went in there and shouldered him. It's like he almost kind of stopped trying. But I mean, he's just bigger and stronger than everybody, and has a good touch, and he was amazing tonight. And, um, behind Wemby probably was the biggest reason they won. So he's a great player. And I just want to talk about the Spurs defense really quick, and they they were tough on Ant, but they were really tough on all of them. I mean, when they had the ball, when they would pick up after dribbling, which happened a lot with the Timberwolves, they really did that too much. There was, a person right in Timberwolves' face blocking all passing lanes, and every move they made, they were really cutting them off and cutting them off early, and Timberwolves are a really good team, really talented team, and the Spurs did an amazing job defending them, and ball pressure was great. So, um, they got a young team with a lot of energy, and they use it, a lot of speed. So, Spurs are a really good team, and I can't wait to kind of focus on them next game. I watch, probably focus on them, even if it's in another series against the Spurs. Against the Thunder. But thank you for listening, and thank you for any support that anybody shows. And I'll try to post more, and have a good one.